Alright, like to thank you for leaving crazy person out of the description. So I thought to was trying to think what is the most useful thing that what can is that could actually be helpful or useful to you in the future. Man hith thought perhaps tell the story of how is ord of came to be here, how did some of these things happen, and then maybe there's some lessons there, because I have 10 find self-wonder when how did this happen. So when I was young, I didn't really know what it was going to do, when I got told her people kept asking me, and but then eventually it thought that the idea of inventing things would be really cool. And the reason it thought that was because I read a quote from author Clock, which said that a sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and that's really true. If you go back, say 300 years, the things that we take for granted today would be burned at the stake for them. Being able to fly that's crazy. Being able to see over long distances, being able to communicate, having effectively with the internet, a group mind of sorts, and having access to all the world's information instantly from almost anywhere in the earth. This is stuff that really would be magics. It would be considered magics in times past. In fact, to think it actually goes beyond that, because there are many things that we take for granted today that weren't even imagined in times past. They weren't even in their realm of magic. So that it actually goes beyond that. So I thought, well, if it can some of those things, basically, if it can advance technology, then that's lie. Magic can, that would be really cool. Human that the always sort of a slight existential crisis. Because I was trying to figure out what does it all mean, like what's the purpose of things, and came to the conclusion that if we can advance the knowledge of the world, if we can do things that expand the scope and scale of consciousness, then we're better able to ask the right questions and become more enlightened. And that's really the only way forward. So I studied physics and business, because I figured in order to do a lot of these things, you need to know how the universe works, and you need to know how the economy works. And you also need to be able to bring a lot of people together to work with you to create something, because it's very difficult to do something as is an individual if it's a significant technology. So I originally came out to California to try to figure out how to improve the energy density of electric vehicles. Basically to try to figure out if there was an advanced capacitor that could serve as an alternative to batteries. And that was in 95, and that's also when the internet started to happen. And then it thought, well, it can either pursue this technology where success may not be one of the possible outcomes, which is always tricky. Participate in the internet and be part of it. So I decided to drop out. Obviously, unfortunately, we were past graduation, so I can't be accused of recommending that to you and So did some internet stuff. They've did a few things here and there. One of which was PayPal, and I think maybe it's helpful to say one of the things that was important then in the creation of PayPal was, which was kind of how it started, because the initial thought was with PayPal was to create an agglomeration of financial services. So you have one place where all your financial services needs would be seamlessly integrated and demand and work smoothly. And then we had like a little feature which was to do mail payments. And whenever we show the system off to someone, I would show the hard part, which was the agglomeration of financial services, which was quite difficult to put together. Nobody was interested. Then we'd show people email payments, which was actually quite easy, and everybody was interested. So this is hit. Think it's important to take feedback from your environment. You want to be as closed loop as possible. You man do it. So we focus on email payments and really try to make that work. And then that's what really got things to take off. But if we hadn't responded to what people said, then we probably would not have been successful. So it's important to look for things like that and then focus on them when you see them. You correct your prior assumptions. And then let's get to it. The going from PayPal what are some of the other problems that are likely to most affect the future of humanity? It truly wasn't from the perspective of what's the rancor best way to make money, which is okay, but it was really what I think is going to most affect the future humanity. So do you think the biggest terrestrial problem we've got is sustainable energy, but the production and consumption of energy in a sustainable manner? If we don't solve that, the century is the century where we're in deep trouble. And then the other one being the extension of life beyond Earth to make life multiplanetary. So that's the basis for the latter. Is the basis force for space, and the former is the basis for Tesla and Solar City. When it started SpaceX, it initially thought that, well, there's now one could possibly start a rocket company. I wasn't that crazy, but then, I thought, well, what is a way to increase NASA's budget? That was actually my initial goals. So I thought, well, if we can do a low-cost mission tomorrow, something called Mars Oasis, which would land seeds with dehydrate wood, with seasoned dehydrated nutrient G-land. You hydrate them upon landing, and then you'd have this great sort of money shot of green plants on arid background. And that the public tends to respond to unprecedents and superlatives, and this would be the first life on Mars, the furthest that life's ever traveled as far as we know, and if thought we that would get people really excited and therefore increase at NASA's budgets. So obviously the financial outcome from such a mission would probably bizarre 'em. So anything better than that was on the upside. So I actually went to Russia 3 times to look at buying refurbished BM because that was the best deal. I can't tell you, it was very weird going there in 2000, late 2001, 2002, going to the Russian rocket forces and saying, I'd like to buy 2 of your biggest rockets, but you can keep the nuke. That's a lot more human. That was 10 years ago. We assume they thought he was crazy, but I did have money, so that was okay. He humaned after making several trips to Russia. I came to conclusion that actually my initial impression was wrong about, because my initial thought was, well, that there's not enough will to explore and expand beyond Earth and have a Mars base and that kind of thing. But I can't conclusion that was wrong. In fact, there's plenty of will, particularly in the United States, because the Uni Ted's destination of